The double doors of the Vanderbilt Hotel ballroom crashed open with a thunderous boom that silenced 300 guests mid-champagne sip. I should know, I was adjusting the $50,000 floral arch when it happened. There stood Clara, trembling but determined, cradling 6-month-old Serafina against her chest. The baby's tiny oxygen tube contrasted sharply with the opulence surrounding them. "You cancelled our daughter's health insurance yesterday," she announced, voice carrying across the marble floor. "She needs heart surgery." Xander. I watched the color drain from Billionaire CEO Xander Whitlock's face as his new bride-to-be, heiress to the Kensington fortune, gripped his arm with diamond-laden fingers. 300 smartphones rose in unison. Wall Street executives dropped their whiskey glasses. The string quartet stopped mid-note. Xander took 3 steps forward, looking at the papers Clara held out, the insurance termination with his signature. That's when I noticed something in his eyes. Not guilt, not anger. Recognition. His gaze shifted from Clara to his fiancée, then to his future mother-in-law, who was already speed-dialing security. "Wait," Xander commanded, raising his hand. "Everyone needs to hear this. Welcome to Extraordinary Stories HQ, where we uncover the most jaw-dropping moments in high society. If you've ever witnessed a shocking moment that completely changed everything in an instant, hit that like button now." What you just saw was the exact moment when a $2 million wedding at Manhattan's prestigious Vanderbilt Hotel collapsed into chaos. Every detail of this celebration had been meticulously planned, from the imported crystal chandeliers to the rare orchids flown in from Singapore. This wasn't just any wedding, it was the social event of the year. Xander Whitlock, CEO of global luxury brand Eclat, was marrying the woman who appeared perfect on paper. His bride, the Kensington heiress, represented old money, connections, and the final piece in his empire. Together, they were poised to control a $12 billion vertically integrated company that would dominate the luxury market for decades. The financial press called it the merger of the century. Wall Street analysts predicted their combined ventures would reshape retail landscapes across 3 continents. Their Instagram-perfect relationship had graced magazine covers worldwide. But beneath the designer smiles and champagne toasts, a web of deception was forming. The insurance document in Clara's hand was just the first thread to be pulled. What nobody in that ballroom knew was how deep the lies went. The baby's cancelled healthcare was merely the visible tip of corporate espionage, hidden pregnancies, and calculated betrayal that would soon expose just how hollow the golden couple's empire truly was. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell, because the truth behind this wedding disaster will make you question everything you thought you knew about wealth, power, and justice. Xander Whitlock's ascent to fashion sovereignty began in a Greenwich Village loft with a single sewing machine. Within a decade, Eclat transformed from boutique startup to global powerhouse with flagship stores in 47 countries. His innovation, luxury experiences rather than mere products, revolutionized how the wealthy consumed fashion. Private jet boutiques, AI-designed perfumes matched to DNA profiles, and invitation-only galas cemented his reputation as the visionary who redefined exclusivity. "He doesn't sell clothes," wrote Vogue. "He sells belonging to a world few will ever enter." The Kensington heiress complemented him perfectly, at least on magazine covers. Her Yale MBA and successful expansion of her family's real estate empire into historic districts earned her business credibility. Her charity galas for photogenic causes built social capital. Her 2.1 million Instagram followers devoured her curated life, horseback riding on family estates, meditation retreats with celebrities, and carefully hashtagged Girl Boss captions about disrupting traditional markets. "Watch how I'm breaking glass ceilings while wearing them," she captioned a photo in a $14,000 crystalline gown before the Fortune 500 Women's Summit. American media portrayed them as the ultimate power partnership: beauty, brains, and billions. Morning shows gushed over their complementary business acumen. Financial news hyped the vertical integration possibilities, her premium retail spaces housing his luxury experiences across global markets. What the cameras never captured were the closed-door negotiations. The secret prenuptial agreement demanding 51% voting rights in eclat post-marriage. The $300,000 annual image maintenance budget that kept unflattering photos buried. The strategic timing of their engagement announcement one day before eclat's disappointing quarterly earnings call, effectively burying bad news under wedding excitement. Whispers circulated among household staff about calculated phone calls, separate bedrooms in their Tribeca penthouse, and boardroom-style strategy sessions with advisors planning their union like a corporate acquisition. They discussed their relationship like a balance sheet, confided one household employee to gossip columns. It's all assets, liabilities, and projected growth. Wall Street analysts predicted their marriage would create a $12 billion empire immune to market fluctuations, merging fashion, real estate, and lifestyle ventures under one family crest. Investment firms upgraded eclat stock based solely on wedding announcements. But what no one knew that day was the true foundation of this merger: the pregnancy test hidden in the bride's private bathroom, the offshore accounts already transferring millions through shell companies, the calculated plan that had nothing to do with love and everything to do with a corporate takeover from within. Security footage later leaked to TMZ captured the moment in excruciating detail. Clara's hand trembled as she pushed the heavy ballroom door. The hinges groaned against the string quartet's final notes of Pachelbel's canon. Conversations halted mid-sentence as 300 heads turned simultaneously. Clara stood frozen for exactly 6 seconds, the baby's soft whimper audible in the sudden silence. Her modest Ann Taylor pantsuit contrasted sharply with the room's opulence. Serafina's oxygen tube glinted under crystal chandeliers. The infant's handmade blanket, not designer, but lovingly crafted, wrapped her tiny frame. 2 security guards moved forward, then hesitated, looking to the wedding party for instruction. The bride's mother gave a sharp nod, but Xander raised his hand, stopping them. His expression shifted from confusion to recognition to dawning comprehension. "What are you doing here?" The bride's voice cut through the silence, her hand gripping Xander's tuxedo sleeve. Clara took 3 measured steps forward, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. "I wouldn't be here if it wasn't necessary." She adjusted the baby's blanket. Serafina needed her monthly heart medication refill this morning. The pharmacy called. The insurance was cancelled yesterday. Murmurs rippled across designer gowns and bespoke suits. Smartphones emerged from Hermes clutches and Tom Ford pockets, recording what would soon become the most viewed wedding interruption in social media history. Xander's face drained of color. "That's impossible. I never." "Your signature," Clara said, producing a folded document from her jacket pocket, on the termination letter. He stepped away from his bride, moving toward Clara and the child. The document trembled in his hands as he read. Genuine shock registered in his widened eyes. "I didn't sign this," he whispered, looking from the paper to his daughter. The baby gurgled, reaching toward him with tiny fingers. "She needs open heart surgery next week," Clara continued, her composure remarkable. "Without insurance, it's $347,000. The bride's mother pushed forward. "Security, remove this woman immediately. This is obviously a forgery and extortion attempt." But Xander was staring at the document, at a signature that matched his own perfectly. Then his gaze shifted to his bride, whose perfect composure had fractured just enough to reveal something cold beneath. "Wait," he said, his voice gaining strength. He looked at his chief counsel standing nearby. "Damien, did you process an insurance change yesterday?" The lawyer's face went pale. His eyes darted to the bride's family, then back to Xander. The entire room held its breath. I was instructed to, the lawyer's voice cracked. The collective gasp from 300 guests seemed to shake the chandeliers. Has someone ever shocked you with a truth you weren't expecting? Hit the comment section below and tell us your story while we continue this incredible tale of deception and revelation. The pristine ballroom descended into chaos. Guests rose from gold-trimmed chairs, forming huddles of whispers and gasps. The bride remained frozen in place, her face a masterpiece of controlled fury beneath her veil. Not a tear, not a crack in her veneer, just calculated rage as she watched her fiancé examine the document. "This wedding will continue," her mother announced, clapping her hands for attention. "A small family matter, nothing more. Please enjoy the champagne." But the guests were already casting their verdict via social media. Within 17 minutes, Wedding Crasher Baby started trending in New York. Within the hour, it dominated nationwide feeds. By evening, international news outlets picked up the story. The bride's family moved with military precision. Security formed a barrier around the wedding party. Phones were checked at a temporary checkpoint established at the ballroom exits. A futile attempt as footage had already reached millions. "She's lying," the bride finally spoke, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "That child isn't even his. This is a desperate attempt at extortion." Her voice carried the perfect note of wounded dignity. But Xander wasn't listening. He had moved to Clara, gently touching his daughter's cheek. "When was the surgery scheduled?" he asked quietly. The bride's mother grabbed his arm. "Do not acknowledge this. Our PR team is handling it. Think of the stock implications." Too late. Trading algorithms had already flagged the social media explosion. Eclat's stock plummeted 18% in after hours, trading as investors panicked about governance issues and potential scandal. The family lawyer stepped forward, whispering urgently to Xander, "We have a prepared statement. A denial. The company needs you to focus." Across the room, financial analysts who had been wedding guests were already making frantic calls. The merging of two dynasties was imploding in real time, and markets were responding. The wedding coordinator, earpiece buzzing with crisis management directives, approached the string quartet. "Begin playing. Loudly. Now." But no amount of Vivaldi could drown the sound of 300 guests, witnessing the exact moment a billion-dollar merger collapsed. Xander looked from the document to his chief counsel. "Who authorized this change, Damien? Who gave you this instruction?" The lawyer's gaze flickered toward the bride's family, a momentary tell that changed everything. The following 48 hours exposed truths that would reshape American corporate law. Court documents later revealed the first bombshell: Evelyn was 8 weeks pregnant, a fact strategically concealed during merger negotiations. Private investigators hired by Xander's legal team discovered text messages between Evelyn's mother and Eclat's CFO, discussing accelerating the timeline once the pregnancy was confirmed. The messages referenced securing inheritance pathways through New York's revised estate laws, which granted special provisions to unborn heirs of billion-dollar corporations. "The timing must appear coincidental," one message read. "The pregnancy announcement after the wedding creates the narrative we need." But the true shock came from Manhattan fertility specialist records, obtained through emergency subpoena. Evelyn had undergone in vitro fertilization using sperm samples acquired without consent. The clinic's notes revealed the samples were collected during Xander's mandatory executive physical, a standard procedure for board-insisted insurance policies. The clinic director, facing criminal charges, admitted receiving $1.7 million in offshore payments to falsify consent forms. They provided documentation that appeared legitimate, she testified. "The Kensington name carries weight in this city." Xander learned these revelations while sitting beside his daughter's hospital bed. The surgery was scheduled, paid for directly from his personal accounts after liquidating his Hamptons estate within hours. Security camera footage from the hospital corridor captured his reaction, a man holding his phone, sinking to his knees as his world collapsed. A nurse helped him to a chair as he stared at his screen, showing proof that his fiancée had stolen his genetic material to create a corporate heir. "They wanted my name, my company, and my DNA," he later told investigators. "But they didn't want me." The Kensington strategy became clear. A child born within the marriage would secure permanent control of Eclat regardless of divorce. Combined with the prenuptial agreement's voting rights clause, the pregnancy created an unbreakable hold on Xander's life work. Meanwhile, Clara remained by Serafina's side, avoiding press and refusing million-dollar interview offers. Her hospital room whiteboard held only one notation beneath medical charts: this was never about money. This story gets even more shocking as we dig deeper into the conspiracy that nearly destroyed a family and a fortune. The next layer reveals financial crimes that crossed international borders and endangered a child's life. If you're as stunned as I am by what you're hearing, subscribe now and hit that notification bell to never miss our extraordinary stories. Drop a comment below with your reaction so far. Forensic accountants followed the money trail to expose the full scope of deception. $47 million had moved through 17 offshore accounts, eventually landing in a shell company called Veritas Holdings. Banking records revealed this entity had been aggressively shorting Eclat stock since the engagement announcement, positioned to reap hundreds of millions in profit from the company's collapse. The SEC investigation uncovered the mastermind behind these transactions, the bride's brother. While maintaining a public image as a tech wunderkind developing facial recognition software, he had quietly established partnerships with Eclat's main competitors. His startup had secured venture capital from the same funds that would benefit most if Eclat's stock crashed. The wedding was never meant to succeed, testified a former Kensington employee granted immunity. It was designed to fail spectacularly, timed precisely when it would cause maximum financial damage. But the most disturbing aspect emerged during Damien Voss's deposition. Xander's chief counsel of 15 years broke down as he described how the Kensingtons had accessed his personal tragedy. Security footage showed the bride's mother approaching him at the rehearsal dinner, showing him photos on her phone that made him visibly distressed. "They had pictures of my daughter," Voss testified through tears. "She's been struggling with addiction since college. They threatened to send evidence of her lowest moments to every news outlet unless I cooperated." The insurance cancellation was merely one component of a multifaceted attack. Documents recovered from the bride's personal laptop lined a 6-month campaign to systematically destroy Xander's reputation, company, and personal life. Cancel family health coverage, making him appear negligent toward his daughters. Leak fabricated evidence of financial mismanagement to business press. File divorce proceedings 1 month after the wedding, citing moral turpitude. Contest all parental rights to the unborn heir. Trigger stock collapse through coordinated selling. Acquire controlling interest in Eclat at bankruptcy prices. The plan included detailed contingencies for every scenario except one: Clara showing up at the wedding with evidence in hand. They never accounted for a mother's determination, noted the federal prosecutor assigned to the case. Their algorithms missed the human factor. The most calculated detail appeared in emails between family members discussing the timing of the insurance cancellation. It was deliberately scheduled days before Serafina's surgery to maximize emotional distress and public backlash. "The child's condition creates perfect optics," read one message from the bride to her mother. "Make sure the termination goes through while he's at the bachelor party. You'll be too distracted to notice until it's too late." What they hadn't anticipated was that the hospital would call Clara immediately, setting in motion the wedding confrontation that exposed everything, and unknowingly saving both a child's life and her father's legacy. 3 days after the wedding collapse, Xander Whitlock called a press conference on the steps of Manhattan General Hospital. Reporters expected a prepared statement read by attorneys. Instead, they witnessed a transformation that would reshape his legacy. Xander emerged alone, without legal counsel or PR teams. His designer suit replaced by unwashed jeans and a simple button-down. Dark circles underscored eyes that had witnessed the destruction of everything he thought he valued. "I've spent 20 years building a company based on perception," he began, voice raw from sleepless nights. "Today I'm choosing reality over appearance. I'm choosing my daughter over commerce." He announced the immediate dissolution of all business ties with the Kensington family. He revealed the pregnancy scheme, the stock manipulation, and the health insurance sabotage, all while taking responsibility for his own blindness. "I chased wealth until I couldn't see what mattered. My daughter almost paid the ultimate price for my ambition." As questions erupted from the press corps, hospital doors opened behind him. Clara appeared with Serafina bundled in her arms, the baby's pre-surgery appointment complete. Without hesitation, Xander walked to them, took his daughter into his arms for the first time in months, and turned back to face the cameras. The image captured by Associated Press photographer became iconic, the billionaire cradling his fragile daughter, her oxygen tube visible, her tiny hand clutching his finger, as he walked through a sea of microphones and cameras. Inside the hospital room, away from cameras, nurses later described the moment that truly mattered. Xander sat beside the crib, simply watching Serafina breathe. Hospital security footage showed him there for 6 straight hours, occasionally reading children's books found in the ward's small library. "She smiled at me," he told Clara when she returned. "Not gas, not a reflex. She knew me." The man who once closed billion-dollar deals without blinking wept openly as his daughter gripped his pinky finger. "Everything I built seems meaningless now," he whispered. "How did I almost miss this?" What would you have done in Xander's position when discovering such betrayal? Would you have walked away from everything you built? Drop your thoughts below while we continue this extraordinary story. Financial news outlets tracked Xander's methodical liquidation of personal assets with astonishment. His Tribeca penthouse, $24 million, art collection, $18 million, yacht, $12 million, and private jet, $9 million, sold within weeks. When asked by CNBC about dismantling his luxury portfolio, his response was immediate: "My daughter's heartbeat is worth more." Serafina's surgery succeeded. Hospital staff noted that the CEO, who once commanded boardrooms from Tokyo to London, now spent hours mastering diaper changes and formula temperatures. The Wall Street Journal ran a photo of him sleeping in a hospital recliner, captioning it, "The billion-dollar bedside vigil." While Xander focused on fatherhood, Clara emerged as an unexpected voice for corporate accountability. Vanity Fair, which once dismissed her as the mall boutique cashier who wasn't Manhattan material, now requested her for cover features. Her background, nursing school dropout due to financial constraints, retail worker supporting her mother through cancer, resonated with millions who saw themselves in her struggle. "I never wanted fame," she told interviewers. "I wanted my daughter to live." 6 months after the wedding disaster, they jointly launched Sarah & Co., a non-profit addressing pediatric medical debt. The organization's first action was purchasing $4.7 million in medical debt for children's surgeries across 5 states, erasing financial burdens for 347 families. Xander stepped down as Eclat CEO, taking an advisory role that allowed him to balance business with fatherhood. His first executive recommendation: comprehensive healthcare policies for all employees, including part-time staff. Clara's TED Talk on corporate parental accountability garnered 27 million views. Her closing line: "The true measure of success isn't what you build, but what you protect became the foundation for their shared mission. As they rebuilt their lives focused on Serafina's future, public opinion celebrated their redemption story. But the justice that was coming would shock everyone, as federal investigators uncovered the full extent of crimes committed in pursuit of wealth and power. Federal agents arrived at the Kensington estate during a charity gala, leading the family matriarch away in handcuffs as Manhattan's elite watched in stunned silence. The indictment listed 47 counts, including wire fraud, securities manipulation, identity theft, and conspiracy against healthcare access. The prosecution's case relied heavily on the family's meticulous digital footprint. They documented everything, noted the lead federal prosecutor. Their confidence in never being caught was their ultimate downfall. The bride accepted a plea deal requiring full testimony against her family. Her immunity came at steep personal cost, disinheritance, and public disgrace. Paparazzi drones eventually located her living in a converted Montana bunker. Her Instagram empire collapsed along with her reputation. Her final post, "Sometimes the true prison is built from our choices," received millions of reactions before her accounts went dark. Her brother proved more elusive. Interpol tracked his crypto transactions through Swiss banks and Seychelles accounts. His facial recognition company, ironically, helped authorities identify him despite multiple plastic surgeries. International financial authorities froze $283 million, profits from shorting Eclat stock, on the wedding day. The scandal transformed corporate governance across America. The Securities and Exchange Commission established Whitlock regulations, mandating real-time disclosure of executive family planning activities affecting stock values. Harvard Business School added a required ethics course examining the case. The fertility clinic director received a 15-year sentence for medical fraud and unauthorized genetic material use. 6 board members from Kensington Properties resigned amid investigations into their knowledge of the scheme. A Pew Research study revealed 68% of Americans now distrusted carefully curated CEO marriages, with prenuptial agreement searches increasing 400% in the scandal's aftermath. Dating apps introduced corporate transparency filters allowing users to screen for shareholders or offshore ties. The most profound change came from unexpected quarters. 17 states expanded child health care protections within months, citing Serafina's case as motivation. Legislation named for the infant ensured medical coverage couldn't be terminated for children with life-threatening conditions, regardless of parental actions. The Whitlock-Kensington scandal fundamentally altered how Americans view wealth, power, and the marriages that connect them. What once seemed like aspirational fairy tales now face skeptical examination. Social media followers began questioning perfect images, looking for the calculations beneath. During her congressional testimony on corporate ethics, Clara delivered the quote that defined the entire affair: "We wanted a fairy tale, but got a mirror instead. Now the real work begins." From the ruins of deception emerged unexpected heroes. A mother who chose integrity over silence, a father who discovered true wealth in a hospital room, and a baby whose heartbeat became more valuable than any stock portfolio. Companies across America reformed their governance practices, prioritizing transparency over appearances. Family policies strengthened as executives recognized that legacy meant more than quarterly reports. The scandal exposed hollow façades of power, revealing how quickly empires crumble when built on deception. Perhaps most significantly, ordinary Americans found themselves reflected in Clara's determination, the reminder that single voices can still challenge broken systems. Today, Xander and Clara co-parent Serafina, whose healthy heartbeat represents their greatest success. Some fortunes can't be measured, Xander noted at her 3rd birthday celebration. And some losses turn out to be the greatest gains. This extraordinary story reminds us that appearances can be deceiving. If you found this story valuable, smash that like button, share with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more extraordinary stories that will change how you see the world. Next week on Extraordinary Stories HQ, when tech billionaire James Morrison handed his best friend the keys to his empire during a health crisis, he never expected what would happen next. I trusted him with everything, my company, my home, even my family's future. Then I discovered the truth. A friendship spanning decades, a betrayal worth billions, and the moment captured on camera when justice finally arrived. You won't want to miss this story of loyalty twisted into deception, and how one forgotten detail exposed everything. Hit subscribe and the notification bell now. Some betrayals are too shocking to miss, and this one will leave you speechless.